Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 113 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. I'm a day later than usual this weekend posting my video. I was super busy on Saturday. I normally tape and get my video up on Saturdays, but we had the farmer's market we went to in the morning, then we had some other things that had to get done, and then we went out to a friend's place for a barbecue afternoon, evening, and it's about an hour and 45-minute drive each way from our place to their place. So we did the farmer's market thing in the morning, had a bit of lunch here, and then we were gone from, I think we left a little after noon and didn't get home till about 9 o'clock in the evening. So I had zero time for filming yesterday. So Sunday afternoon, May the 29th, and I'm getting my filming done today. But the bonus is that I got an extra finished object done in the extra day I had off. So a very productive week. I had 2 finished objects. So I'm really happy with that. First finished object is the second blanket I'm making for a friend of mine. This is the Granny Stripes blanket by Lucy of Attic 24. And I'm using yarn, the variegated yarn is yarn that was given to me by a friend of mine that I used to work with a few years back, and it was yarn that belonged to her mom. And after her mom had passed away, she didn't know what to do with the yarn because she's not a knitter crocheter, so she gave it to me, and I wasn't sure what to do with the yarn for quite a while. And then I thought, best thing, I've made 2 blankets with most of the yarn. I still have a skein and a little bit of this bright orange, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to make a blanket for their cats. But this is the second of the 2 granny stripe blankets that I made. It's fairly small. This is folded in half lengthwise, so it's twice this width. But it's not super long. I didn't have as much of this yarn as I had of the purple, but that's fine. So I made a second. This will be just a nice lap size blanket to throw over your lap when you're watching a movie or something. Whatever, they can use it for whatever their heart desires. I'm hoping to get some plans together. I'll crochet up the 3rd little cat blanket, and we'll make plans probably later this month, early next month, well, sometime in June. I want to make plans to go over to her place. She lives it's over an hour's drive from, hour and a half, probably from our place to her place. So we'll plan on going over, drive up there to visit with her and her daughter and give her the 3 little blankets. So finished object number 1, my Granny Stripes blanket. So again, the variegated is yarn she gave me. The cream color is Knit Picks Bare Wool of the Andes superwash, and this is yarn I got. It's leftover. I bought a whole bunch to make a row cardigan for myself a year or 2 ago, and this bare is just yarn I have left over from that. So I was happy to use that. So now I've got 2 of the blankets ready to give her. So 1 finished object. Second finished object are my Unbearably, I always get the name wrong, Unbearably Adorable socks. They're cute. I like them. Now, this pattern is by Renee Strouts, And this pattern was the pattern for Sock Madness 16, round 5. Now, I was eliminated in this round. I did not finish these on time. In round 5, the fastest 8 knitters on each team advanced to round 6. I was not fast enough. I didn't finish them till a couple days after the 8 fastest on my team finished, which is, I'm fine, because what that did was it allowed me to modify the pattern. So these socks are not regulation. So if you've seen other people's Unbearably Adorable socks, theirs will look, the leg will look different on theirs. So they're knit toe up. They've got this adorable little heart that's embroidered on there. It has a keel heel, which is a new to me technique to do. I had never done a heel like this before. Granted, I usually do top-down socks, so I don't do a lot of toe-up socks, but these fit beautifully now. So the way the pattern was written was to have, there should have been 5 of these stack stitch pieces. So I only have 2. What I did when I was knitting these is I had both of them done up to where we were ready to start the stacked stitches. Then I moved to one sock. I did all 5 layers of the stacked stitching, and then I did the ribbing, and then I held off before I did the bind off. And I went to the second sock, and I had a little over 1 of the repeats done on the second sock when my team filled up. So at that point, I completely slowed down on working on it. And on the second sock, I did the 2 stacked stitch sections, and I tried on the sock and I thought I liked the length of it on my calf. So I tried on the one that initially was longer, and it was far too long on my leg. And I have fat legs. My calves are large, and they didn't fit comfortably. They would have fit nicely if they were kept scrunched down, but since I no longer had to keep them at regulation length, I thought, well, I'm just gonna finish one sock up into the cuff, and I did the bind off, and then I came back to the first sock, and what I did was I took a needle and I wove the needle in the same type of way you would do for doing an afterthought heel on a sock, where you don't put in the waste yarn. I took the needle and I picked up one of the legs of every stitch all the way around the whole sock, and took a deep breath and unraveled the 3 layers of stacked, the ribbing I had already done, and the 3 levels of stacked stitches I had already done. And I took it back down to where I was at a nice in-between point between the second and the third stack stitch, and undid it back to there, and then I continued on and I just did the ribbing. I re-knit the ribbing and did the cast off or the bind off, and I'm super happy with the fit of these socks now. I love the way they fit, and the details on this sock were so nice. I really like that. I'm going to kind of twist it around a little bit so you can get a look at the heel. I'm not sure if the heel's going to even show. The detail where the slip stitch kind of design goes along the underside of the heel, which is where the heel flap was, and then it continues up into the decreasing at the back of the heel. And just the continuity of that pattern was really nice. And it just everything just lines up really nicely on this sock pattern. And the bind off was one I don't think I've done before. You would do cast off a certain number, then you would cast on one more stitch, and then cast that off, and you'd cast off a certain number. So you have these little teeny little points coming up on the bind off, which line up nicely with the ribbing pattern, and just these nice little details. And as I say, I love the way these socks fit, and I love these little hearts. It really is a really pretty pattern, and I know I'm out of the competition now, so I was happy that I was able to modify the length of the leg. That's really the only thing I did modify with the pattern, is I did not do the last 3 stack stitch little ripply parts on it. I did not do that on the pair. So it's really the only, I'd say kind of a minor modification, but I'm happier with the fit of the sock on my leg now. So those are my Unbearably Adorable socks, modified, patterned by Renee Strouts, and they were the round 5 socks for Sock Madness 16. So since I was eliminated, the round 6 pattern came out Saturday morning at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern US time. Only one person on each team will advance from round 6 into round 7, which is the final round. And in the final round, the fastest person on each team is in the final, and then they go head to head. And the fastest 3 out of all the different teams are the first, second, and third place winners of Sock Madness 16. So I was kind of hoping I'd get into round 6. I didn't, that's fine. I did find doing the stack stitches was hard on my hands. I'm still finding that my hands are a little bit achy, especially through my knuckles. It's just the way the stitches are done, and the number of stitches, and doing certain techniques within those stacked stitches. I love the look of them, but I found it challenging to do and tough on my hands and my wrists. So that's fine. So round 6 began yesterday, early morning. There are already a bunch of teams that already have this Sunday afternoon, so 24, 36 hours after the pattern has come out, there are multiple teams that have their finalists already done. Our team, Team B, Team B is one of the slow teams. I think we had this, was it the 6th or 7th out of 26 teams to finish. So it's like, wow, they're fast. Some of them finished it in like about 24 hours, 24, 28 hours. They finished knitting an entire pair of socks. And this pattern was really neat. I think it was called Princess socks. I'll put the name of it up here, but it includes all kinds of really cool details. I think I am going to have to knit a pair of them, just because there's a lot of really cool details. It starts with a sort of a hemmed cuff that has a kind of a little picot edging. The picot edging is an option. It has one round of beads in the cuff, and then you do a section in color work. And then once you've done the section in color work, you steek. This is the first time ever that there has been a Sock Madness design that involves steeking. I think we all knew it was coming sooner or later. One of these years we were going to have to steek a sock. This year we did. So you had to steek the colorwork section, and so then that opens up, because the colorwork section used fewer stitches in the cuff. So once it opened up, you picked up the remaining stitching on the cuff, and then you started knitting a panel down in between the steek. And then you would join at the bottom of the steek and finish off the rest of the sock pattern. So once you finish that part, from what I gather, I haven't read the pattern in a lot of detail yet, it's a long pattern, you tack those sides down to the steeked edges, you pick up stitches and you do like a little edging, the same way you would do on like a cardigan sweater that you steeked, and then it has a lace that you add to the lace, so it laces up the colorwork section over the background section. It's a really neat pattern. I'll put the name of I'm drawing a blank on the name of the sock, and I'm completely drawing on a blank on the name of the designer, but I will have included that on the sidebar here. But it's a really neat sock design, and I really think I will set aside the time to knit that pair of socks, just because they look really cool. So that's a work in mind that I have. And the other work in mind that I have is, as if I haven't knit enough socks in the last several months, I have registered for, and I'm planning to participate in the Super Sock World Championship competition. So this is a continuation of a competition that used to run a few years back called Tour de Sock, which was a sock knitting competition that kind of paralleled the Tour de France bicycle race. And it's evolved a bit over the years, and now the way they're working it this year is everyone who registers will receive access to a qualifying round pair of socks, and if you knit those qualifying round pair of socks to the specifications within a certain time frame, I believe we have until something like the 15th or 17th of June. I believe that's when the deadline was. The pattern came out on the 26th of May, so the pattern came out on Thursday. And the deadline to finish the qualifying round is, I believe that, I want to say the 17th of May. Or sorry, the 17th of June. So we have almost, I think it was almost 3 weeks to complete them. So I will be casting that on maybe tonight, if I can decide what colors I'm using. Or I might get it started tomorrow afternoon. I have not quite yet decided. I haven't quite decided when I'll cast it on. If I can figure out what colors I want to use, I'll probably start it this afternoon or tomorrow. So, a little bit wishy-washy right now. So that one it's called Let's Roll, and I didn't write down did I? Oh, I did. It's called Let's Roll, and it's by Zoe Sphere. And so I'll have the information, I'll put the information down here. So if you're not already registered for this, it's too late to join up this year, but it's something that it's an annual thing. It usually starts up towards the end of Sock Madness. So it's a neat pattern. It's written for a variety of colors of yarn or combinations of yarn. Minimum is using 2 colors, or you can do it with scraps. So you can, the cuff, you'll start with the cuff, then there's a colorwork section that has 2 bicycles on it, which is in colorwork, it's really cute. And then once you finish that portion, you go down into the remainder of the sock doing a helical knitting, using a helical knitting technique. So you can use just 2 colors throughout the entire sock, or you can do like the colorwork section and the body of the sock. The colorwork section in 2 colors, the body of the sock can be done in multiple colors, up to 4. And then the cuff, heel, and toe can be done in different scrap colors. So I'm indecisive. I would love to use my scraps, but I just have not been able to decide and commit on what colors to use. I dragged them all out this morning. I brought out my scale, wrote down how much of what weights I had of all these different combinations of yarn, and I can't decide. I honestly cannot decide. I'm kind of leaning right now towards doing the cuffs in 1 scrap, the heels in a different, and the toe in yet another scrap. So I'm thinking red, orange, and yellow for those 3 portions. Then to do the colorwork and helical section using 2 colors. And I'm thinking either a blue and white, or maybe a pink and white, or I might do the colorwork section in either pink and either have pink or blue bicycles, and then do the helical section in pink, blue, and white. See what I mean? I can't decide. I really cannot decide. I don't know. I don't know which color combination I want to use. I think I might just have to bite the bullet and I'll knit the 2 cuffs and then think about it. Or I might, because almost all of my scraps are done up into a ball, I can't easily, the way I would normally do 2 at a time in tandem, I would take the yarn from the outside and the inside of the skein of yarn, or the cake, and do a certain amount on 1 sock, then the other one, then the next, and continue that way. I can't do that as easily where it's in a ball. So what I might do is just knit the socks, knit 1 sock, then knit the 2nd sock. Come back next week and see if I figured out what I want to do. Because right now, clearly, I do not know what I want to do. And yeah, I don't know. so I will be casting those on. So let's roll. I will be casting those on in the next day or 2. So I will have progress on those to show you next week. I also plan on getting a little bit more progress done on my Empress top. Again, that's a pattern by Sari Nordlund. I think I got that right. Going by memory, didn't write it down. I added 2 or 3 more rounds onto that this morning, but it's not enough to show you. It looks no different than it did when I showed it to you last time. So I'd kind of like to work on that a little bit more as well. So maybe I will leave the Sock Madness, the princess something socks until later. I don't know. I'm so indecisive sometimes. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. So 2 finished objects, tiny bit of progress on my top, and 2 sock patterns that I'm ready to get started on. I've also signed up for and bought the pattern for Helen Stewart's mystery shawl knit along that'll be starting on, I believe, June 7th. Is it the MKAL? I didn't write that one down either. I'll talk more about that next week because that will be starting on the 7th of June. So by then I will have my yarn. I ordered some yarn specifically for that shawl. Placed an order on WIMs a day or 2 ago. So I'll see what the yarns look like once I get them and how they look together, and then I'll make a decision whether I want to do the shawl with those colors or if I want to dye my own yarn or go rooting through my stash and see what I can find. I don't know. I don't know. So, but anyway, that's where I am at right now. So yeah, 2 finished objects, 2 pair of socks I'm ready to cast on, and a shawl in the next couple weeks. And I still have a sweater to do. And I'll probably start that little cat blanket, although that I can crank that out, and it's not going to be a large blanket. I only have a skein and a bit. So that one I'll crank out probably within a couple evenings watching TV. Maybe I'll do that one this afternoon. I don't know. Oh boy. So before I get myself any more flustered and talking about what I don't know anymore, I best get going. I want to go and contemplate my yarn choices some more, or just go and waffle about what I'm gonna do next. I don't know. Come back in a week and we'll see. I should be able to, I think I should be able to do my podcast at its normal time next Saturday. Yeah, the next Saturday should be normal. The Saturday after that will not be normal. We have a bunch of things. We've got a brunch in the morning, and then my husband has a funeral service he'll be doing on that Saturday afternoon. So I won't have time to podcast or to film on Saturday the 11th of June. So I'll probably do that one on either Friday or Saturday, or Friday or Sunday again. We'll see. No, I don't have to worry about that till next week. So anyway, on that note, before I ramble even farther off into confusion, I'll sign off, and I will see you guys again in a week. Thanks for watching. Bye.